Welcome back. It's Loud Radio. Time for a bit of driving Maul on a weird Friday afternoon slot. Sharky Test match special.
Yo, bud, how are you? It's been a while, eh?
No, it has been. We haven't actually had a chance to talk about any rugby probably for the better part of a month.
Great to be back, and I'm looking forward to it.
And we've got as we said, a special test match edition this week in the build-up to the Bokke Test against Wales in Durban, and then there's the small matter of the Baby Boks versus the Baby Blacks on Sunday morning. So lots to chat about. We've got a special treat for you folks. We're about to get Bokke legend Rob Louw on the line just to chat around the Springboks and how they're going under Heineken Meyer and his thoughts of what's going on there and find out what he's been up to. So if you bear with us while Sharky gives you a little insight into his thoughts on what's coming up this weekend, I'm going to get Rob on the line.
Thanks for that hospital pass. Yeah. So we're going to chat a little bit of ruggers. I tell you one thing for free. I think England are going to put up a bit of a shout again against New Zealand, which we will chat about later. I think the Welsh are going to be not going to be as much a pushover as most of the South African public think. And then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what's happening with the Rugby World Cup squad. But let's wait up for Rob.
Hello?
Hi, Rob Louw.
Yeah, how's it?
How's it? You're speaking to Sharky and Don on Driving Maul on Loud Radio. How are you today?
Well, good, man. All right.
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us, Rob. We just wanted to catch up with you around your thoughts around Heineken Meyer and the progress with the Boks and a few of those things. I mean, out of respect for Frans Steyn wishing to keep things private and personal, we're going to stay away from chatting about that because everyone else is.
Yeah, well, I've got also. I mean, I know more or less what's happened there, so. Yeah, but that's fine. That's 100%. I'm happy with that.
And Sharky's going, wait. What did you say?
No, we'll leave it.
But Rob, before we get on to that, I just want to chat to you about our old alma mater, because like yourself, I'm a Wynberg old boy, and I just wanted to clarify for the readers, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first side that you played for at Wynberg included yourself, former English cricketer Alan Lamb, former SA cricketer Garth Leroux, and yachting legend John Martin alongside yourself.
John Martin, and there was a guy by the name of Gary Bricknell, which he I think at 19 already played for Western Province cricket, and then got killed in a plane in a train crash on the way up, the Uppington. There was an army there. So yeah, and then also in that same year at Wynberg, there were two other Springboks. There was Garth Waters. He was a Springbok canoeist and an offshore paddler.
Yeah.
And and the Yacht brothers,
that's right. I knew there was someone I'd forgotten. The Yacht brothers. That was quite a year at Wynberg, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we're just having a special year, and it's lucky to see Wynberg up there again. I mean, it's a small school that don't use bursaries like everybody else does, and includes bishops and Paul Roos and Always High and all that bursary they give bursary to guys, and they competing against all those top schools, and in actual fact lost by 2 points to Paul Roos and Always High by 2 points and beat Bishops.
Yeah, and those that Paul Roos and Paul Boyle.
The tale, which is really special for me. I mean, and I watched all the games. It's been really great.
And they were those two games against Paul Boys and Paul Roos, they also they lost it in the dying minutes as well in both of them.
Dying seconds, yeah. Against Paul Roos. In actual fact, afterwards, the ref said he was sorry. They scored a try which wasn't given. That he gave, it wasn't a try, and he said to me he made a mistake.
Is that when you cornered him in the car park?
Wynberg were up 22-7, and then the second half there was wind blowing, and they kicked us in the corner, and then scored with our famous driving Mauls to win the game against Wynberg. So it's been amazing. It's been a good journey, but it also has been caused by Kevin Musicant, who's been involved with Wynberg, and he's an ex-Wynberg boy who coached UCT. So it just shows you at that level of rugby how important coaching is.
No, absolutely. Now, Rob, moving on to the Springboks. I mean, you played
Yeah.
19 tests for them and scored 5 tries, including a victorious Lions series, and obviously that infamous flower bomb tour to New Zealand. I mean, that tour goes down in the annals of rugby history, as fans, we've all paid attention to it as we got older in life and read the stories about sleeping in change rooms and. You experienced all kinds of experiences essentially in terms of playing for the Springboks and travelling and touring. And what's your fondest memory?
Yeah, look, yeah, it was amazing that for me when I turned in 85, I turned and played rugby league for Wigan.
Yes.
And obviously there was we really castigated back home, myself and Ray Mort, when we had turned to go and play rugby league. And then Doc Craven turned around and said, well, Rob Louw's always been adventurous, and so there for me it's been my whole career has been adventure, and it was an amazing adventure, and so that to me has been amazing, and just life's journey adventure. So it was adventurous. We had in '79 we went on a Barbarian tour with the first mixed team. With 8 blacks, 8 colours, and 8 whites in those days.
Yeah.
To England, and we played against basically a Scottish side and basically a Welsh side, and beat both sides. And the Clonethley was there was 3/4 of the side was the Welsh side,
Okay.
and the south of Scotland border Scottish side was basically a 3/4 Scottish side, and we beat them, and it just showed me then what could be done in our country and how we could be together, which was special.
Awesome. I'm going to go and look that up because that's the first I've ever heard of that little tour.
Yeah.
Now,
Chick Henderson was the manager, and Dougie Dyers was the coach, and funny enough, Errol Tobias came from that, and all of the white guys became Springboks, and we weren't Springboks. We were just guys which like Henny Becker and W. Visser, Gabi Fasahi, those type of guys that all became Springboks eventually.
Yeah, all the names from my youth. Now, obviously, as we mentioned at the start of the show, there's been a bit of drama around the Boks squad this week, probably for the first time under Heineken Meyer's tenure. But from a fan's perspective, that's distracted many of us from the important stuff. There's 2 guys who, in all probability, are going to make their Test debuts this weekend, and one who's getting his first start in the green and gold. What was that moment like for you? Just to give the listeners an idea of what it's like to pull the Bok jersey on for the first time.
No, without a doubt, it's special. In those days, obviously, I wouldn't say it was more special, but there weren't many tests played in those days. I mean, these days these guys play every second day now.
Yeah.
So in those days, I'm not so protecting, so moving away from that. But we would play at the most 4 to 5 tests in a year, and then those tests were like special tests. Like a test against New Zealand would really be something which we would all dream about. And them the same. So, I wouldn't say that it's sort of changed. I mean, when you pull on the Bok jersey and you start, it is something when the others out. And I'm very excited for the youngster from Free State that's come through. Lock forward, Diago. I think, and I've been watching him, play, and he really, I think he's a guy for the future. And he didn't look. 2 years ago, when he came on the scene, or a year ago when he came on the scene, I thought he was a real sloppy, and he looked like but he really has come through, and he's played brilliantly this year. But it was great for him, and then Jan Savendijn starts for the first time this year. He always has come off the bench. And I hope that he plays well because he hasn't had a good season this year. He's had in actual fact a very ordinary season, I think, caused, I believe, by the guys being blooded too young, and that's been a major problem in South African rugby. In that because the guy does well at on 20 level, he gets pushed early, and many times it's just too much for the guy, and he gets pushed beyond his he can't swim, and that's a problem, And so he was very ordinary this year, and except near the end now playing for the Bulls, he seemed to get more confidence in. But I think he lost confidence last year, and the confidence was caused by him playing in the wing against the All Blacks. It's a difficult situation for a young guy of his age just to be put in the deep end. And so I actually believe that when you're 20 years old, I would rather take a guy and send him through the 7 system to get confidence and play like that, and then bring him through. I think that's a major problem we have in South Africa.
Indeed. Now, Rob, the other the thing that I wanted to chat to you about is just in terms of the stability around the Bokke side. And I know it's ironic considering what happened earlier this week, but there is a lot of stability around that side. I mean, I was chatting to a couple of guys in the last week, and 90% of South African rugby fans could name 90% of Heineken Meyer's starting 23 on any given weekend.
Blue Bull side. Sorry.
No, it's fine. But the point is, we can all debate around who he's picking, but at the same time, there's a lot of confidence that should be running through that side around the fact that you know who he's picking. We may not all agree with his selections.
No. Look, Heineken Meyer, I was very vociferous, on Twitter, last year when he came in the scene and the Blue Bulls had just lost 5 games in a row, and he picked 14 of their squad. And at that stage, the Stormers were leading the Super 15 log, and he picked 3 of the Stormers, and I had a hell of a go at him on Twitter.
Yeah. No, we know.
I'll sort of talk out now, but what he did was he actually picked the phone up and phoned me, and he explained these choices and stuff like that. And I think still now, he's still obviously, he's become big, or maybe his name through the Bulls, and he will obviously support the players who he trusts in, so that's what he did, without a doubt, and that's why he's obviously called up Wynand again, because I see Wynand in the background again. That's the way players work and coaches work. But the most important thing is that I think that South Africa is going forward. I think that his coaching has been good, and at least we've seen advancement in their play. I mean, initially they played really archaic rugby, and he brought in Billy Louw. I think Billy Louw, and I didn't think he'll use him, and he's brought in him, and he's been in a revelation, and he's actually realizing that we got to stretch a ball. We got to play wider, and that's important.
Rob, it's Sean here from Judge Rugby. How you doing?
Yeah, so well, thanks, mate.
Good. It's good to chat to you. You actually gave me my first team jersey when I played for Hammies just before Derby Day a few years ago.
Of course.
It's great to touch base. I got 2 questions. One which we'll end off on. I think Don will handle as well in terms of what do you think is going to happen on Saturday. But one thing I'm quite excited. Paul Udon, I've just heard, has been brought into the Springbok squad, who's obviously going to take the space of Juan de Jong, which I was quite excited with because he's been rewarded for some good form. But off the Springbok side of things, your son, can you give us a breakdown of how he's doing? I know a lot of guys aren't too familiar with him, and I've been following him a little bit. I believe he was at Saracens for a bit. Where's he now, and what's he up to?
Yeah, he's when you're after school, the Saracens saw him play in actual fact for Paul Roos against Grey College, and he won the game for them in the final game at Kutsenberg. And so Saracens approached him, and they offered him not a contract, like a junior national academy role there. And at the same time, the Sharks had come. Province hadn't offered him anything.
There's a surprise.
Very light province, as you know. but even so, the Sharks came and they offered him a 2-year thing. And so he went to Saris, and he was going to spend 6 months there. But with the whole UK laws now, he can only spend 3 months there.
Okay.
And it was unbelievable. I mean, he played for the junior side and played very well there. Then came back and then for 2 years was in the province on the 21 squad, but had continual knee problems. He overtrained. And so he had patellity tendonitis. So for 2 years he was basically in their squad training with the guys all the time, but could never play, and it was a bit of a bad one. And then this year he played 10s for Stellenbosch. I think he played in the final last year 10s for Ikes, but he played 10s for Stellenbosch this year, and then Boland picked him up and they pulled him into their squad. And he trained with them for 3 months. He's only 21. He trained with them for 3 months. Basically, he's a bag holder, and I want my kid at 21 to play rugby. So at this stage, We got a French club looking at him, and we got Stellenbosch begging him to come back to Stellenbosch. So we're in 2 minds what we're going to do at this stage. If the French club come forward, I think I might send him to France and see what happens. You never know. He might play for France one day.
Settle. Yeah,
Well,
there's
you've
enough
already-
Xbox. There's enough Xbox sons playing for France.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, you know.
No,
Unfortunately,
totally.
They look. Yeah, I mean, Billy Louw, and so the amount of players go that they just missed, you know.
No,
so
absolutely.
that's the old story. I mean, Carl Dubuissy's son also went to Natal and went away.
Wow.
So yeah, one of those things. But yeah, potentially, I mean, the guy's very late developer. He's now 100 kilograms, and he plays centre and wing. You know, he was only 92, 93, and he's really developed very late.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a situation where injuries have basically curtailed his career. So yeah, we're hoping this year that things will happen.
Well, great. All the best, and tell him we from Blokes on the Couch and Judge Rugby wish him the best as well.
Yeah, thanks, Bud. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Rob, just in closing, Saturday, the Test match, Boks versus Wales. I mean, that's a pretty decent Welsh side. We know what the Boks are going to do in terms of their style of play. Your thoughts, expectations for this weekend?
You know, the biggest disappointment for me Saturday, watching the game was what I was scrumming was very, very bad. I thought we scrummed exceptionally bad, and I think the Welsh will give us a go there. And you know, I think it's going to be very close. Everybody's thinking that we're going to run away with them. They've lost a few players, but that Welsh side's it's a good side, and I tell you what, I reckon it'll be a 5-pointer with South Africa winning, but it'll be a very close game. We're not going to run away with this game, most certainly.
No, certainly not. I mean, especially with an untested centre combination up against essentially the Lions' first choice centre combination.
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm also worried about. And I mean, they got really some special players in their back line. So yeah, it's going to be tough, depending on how the Welsh play, I think that for the next 2 weeks we'll be really tested, and most certainly a guy like Jan, who really has lost a lot of confidence. It's going to be. I really hope he goes well because we need him badly at inside centre to basically close that gap there. You know, it's very, very important.
Yeah, to make Mornay Staines tackles on Jamie Roberts.
Yeah, well, that's been, I mean, the guys on television have been mad and saying he's playing brilliantly, but he missed on the last match. He missed a tackle on the post, man on man, which you shouldn't be missing, you know. So it's going to be a big test for him, and I just hope he comes through. Look, potentially, he was brilliant as a youngster, and I think just that they've used him wrong, you know. His style of play, they force him to bang, 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 and he actually is. He's quite a visionary player, and he can play wide, and he's a good player. And I really, so hopefully he gets his confidence and plays well.
I wanted to just touch base on the centre pairing, but more on. I actually think that they're going to do pretty well on that sort of first phase, setting up defensively. I think they'll do quite well against the guys. My major worry is the likes of North and Cuthbert coming into the line, because North does it a hell of a lot, and with our kind of loose defensive setup and our scrambling defence, I'm not sure if the guys will be able to make it there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, defensively, I think we'll be up to it. You know, that's not a problem. Communication's a very important thing. I just hope that the communication from the inside, with Mornay's playing, hey.
Yes.
Mornay and Jan obviously is quite quiet. I mean, they got to communicate, and that's the importance of it. So, defense and attacks all communication, you know, and the guys, and that's why I'm talking about the 80s when we had those brilliant teams, the Province teams of the 80s. The communication came from Carl and Michael Dubuissy, and amongst all of us, and that's a big thing which is lacking, I think, and that's where a guy like Jacques Fourie was absolutely outstanding when it comes to communication, and John also. And that's important defensively, that could be a problem area. You're right.
Rob, just in closing, obviously the junior Boks are hopefully going to give us all a decent Father's Day present on Sunday morning. Your thoughts on that game, having seen them decimate that New Zealand side with essentially a second string Boks side?
Yeah, you know that New Zealand side is a very ordinary side. I watched him. I watched the first game against Western Samoa, and myself and Robbie were watching together, and I looked amongst their side for special players, and there was a wing, obviously, who's played for the Blues, who's a special player, I think. And the flower who plays for the Blues is very ordinary. I think he's just a kicker. And then they got a fullback, the small fullback with the blondish hair that looked quite good. But that's it. They are very ordinary New Zealand under 20 side. In actual fact, I'm not sort of. It's not good to go back, but I think they haven't produced a really good side for a long time. Where you really got these big giant players.
Yeah, well,
that dominate. So I think with Estrazen back, the inside centre, and I believe he could be the future of our South African rugby, the inside centre.
Yeah,
I think he'll come through big time, and he's a handful. So yeah, I think depending on conditions, obviously, our last match we played against Samoa, the conditions were very, very tough, and it was difficult to play. But if conditions are fairly good and we can play properly, we should give them a 20-pointer or 30-point even. So yeah, I think we should win that World Cup. I didn't look at the other teams, but England didn't look very strong. Normally Ireland, which we beat us last year, I think, or the year before, are always dangerous. But the French side also don't look too strong. Look, our South African side, he's physically very, very strong and very big. And there's some really special players like Schikkeling, I think, is going to be, he's an outstanding player. There's one number 7 flank who came from Kes. He's something special, I think, also. We've got some really good players on that side. So it's quite an exciting squad.
Awesome. Well, Rob Louw, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the long weekend.
Thanks, mate.
And thanks for joining us on Driving Maul.
Rob, thank you, mate. Have a great weekend, and let's hope the Boks dominate.
Yeah, let's hope so. Okay, mate. All the best.
Thanks, bye. Rob Louw joining us on Driving Maul with some interesting insights into junior Bokke rugby as well as Bokke rugby. I am going to chuck on some music, and when we come back, we can talk about all the other rugby we've got lined up for this weekend. You're listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio.